And welcome back to yet another episode of Skyhawk Sports Talk. Gregory here with Chris Brinkley as in the middle of February and March is almost upon us. Basketball getting wins on Saturday against Western Illinois. We'll talk to Coach Shulman, Coach McMillan today. UT Martin baseball starting up this weekend. Coach Ryan Jenkins will join us to talk about his team. And then Austin Swafford golf beginning their spring portion of their schedule. And we'll get Coach on to discuss all things UT Martin golf. Getting into this week in Skyhawk Athletics. Women's basketball will be on the road as well as men's basketball. Thursday at SIUE, the women play at 5, men at 7:30, and then Saturday the women at 1 at Eastern Illinois, and the men will tip off at 3:30. All those games on ESPN Plus and the Skyhawk Sports Network. And then softball will be hosting the 2025 Skyhawk Classic Friday versus Western Michigan at 3:30. Then Saturday against DePaul at 6, and then 2 games Sunday. That will be against DePaul at 12:30, and then Murray State at 3:30 p.m. So make sure to head over to Betty Giles Field for the home opener for the Skyhawks and Coach Farmer. Now on for baseball at Florida A&M Friday at 4 p.m. And then a Saturday doubleheader at 1 p.m. and 3:30. And then one lone game on Sunday at 1 p.m. Track and field, they will be at the Music City Challenge from Friday to Saturday in Nashville, Tennessee, hosted by Vanderbilt. And then, of course, golf will be in action. It'll be their first full team event of the season. They'll be at the Loyola Intercollegiate out in Goodyear, Arizona, Sunday through Tuesday at Palm Valley Golf Club. Going to enjoy some nice weather. Already went and looked it up. Chris will talk to Coach about in the 70s over there.
You looked up Arizona weather?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was jealous. They're getting 75-degree weather over there. I was like, oh, well, if I can look at it, maybe I'll start to feel warm. If I look at the temperature, I'll start to feel warm. But, Chris, another good episode on tap for us here today.
Yeah, excited about it. Outdoor sports now getting underway. We hope the weather cooperates all over and ready for a big show.
And we'll have a head coach of the UT Martin men's basketball team, Jeremy Shulman, join us first here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And back here at Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee, Davis Gregory with Chris Brinkley as head coach of the UT Martin men's basketball team. Jeremy Shulman joins us now. UT Martin going 1-1 on the week, closed out Saturday with an 81-70 win over Western Illinois. A big double-digit win for the Skyhawks at home. Coach, good week overall, being able to end it with a win.
It was. We talked about it a little bit after the game. It felt good to actually take a lead, sustain the lead, and win by double digits against a very talented team. Something that this young team hasn't always been able to do. So that felt really good.
Yeah. They wrote it. I was thinking, as a broadcaster, all games are like stories. They have a narrative, and you wrote a different story this time.
We did. And again, I think it's progress. I think it's
absolutely.
Growth. I really do. And we've been obviously. It's the basic story's been we've had a chance in a lot of games and didn't close it out. So for us to write a different story, to do something different at the end, to finish that game out. I'm proud of our guys, and not even to finish out in a close game, because we have done that before. Mm-hmm. But to finish it out and to extend the lead and to actually win it by double digits, maybe that's the spark we needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And getting to the game on Thursday, and I know 1-point decision in that went to Lindenwood, but talk to you on Saturday right before the Western Illinois game, and I'll ask you here again just for the podcast audience. Talk about your guys being able, and you and your staff and everybody, getting off the mat and being Martin made in this process that hasn't been very fun in terms of, again, all these close games, but you all continue to show what Martin made is, and it's okay, we're going to get knocked down 9 times, we're going to get up 10 every single time and keep swinging.
It is amazing. Our guys are incredible. For our guys to be able to get knocked down that many times, and the Lindenwood one was almost like, you almost had to laugh it off. It was like, okay, well, this time, we're up 3 and actually get a 4-point play to win. It's like, okay, well, like how much more can you write? How much more can Hollywood write to make this, tragedy / comedy, of what we've gone through?
I saw that once. I told Davis, I don't know if you remember this, but Larry Johnson was with the Knicks and hit a 4-pointer against the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs. That's the only time I've ever seen a 4-pointer win a game like that.
Yeah, so it's Larry Johnson and his Lindenwood.
That's it.
So what a comparison, Larry Johnson with the Lions of St. Charles. I tell you
Grandmama and Lindenwood. Grandmama.
In that game, though, Coach, guarded very well. Again, made them take some really tough shots in that one. What were some of the improvements you saw on defense? Because I know we talked about it so many times about guarding well and executing well on the defensive end.
I mean, we really bought in. Lamine Young did an unbelievable job for us, and it was his first start in a long time. It was really his first start at the 5 spot. And Lamine did an unbelievable job and kind of anchored the defense and really was a rim protector for us, and was a great communicator and did so many good things for us. But the rest of the guys just really bought in, and we were just dialed into the game plan, really dialed in. And we kept 82, I think, last time we played them. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm really proud of the guys. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have Vlad Salarizzi available, and Vlad makes a big difference for us. And it's just another of what could have been, at one point, miraculous loss and not having Vlad. But having Vlad back Saturday obviously gives a big boost.
A big difference. He's not like every player. He touches the ball on every possession almost and goes after every rebound. So without him in the lineup, someone else had that opportunity, but it was a big adjustment.
It was a huge adjustment. We're very unique in what we do offensively, and, we run so much of our offense through Vlad. And also he's become really good defensively. I think he's leading the OVC in steals. Does a great job switching. He does a great job in our different coverages, different rotations. So it was, honestly, it shows the amazing resiliency of our guys that we could lose such a valuable player for that game and still be able to. And he played very banged up against Little Rock. Like he wasn't able to move very well. I mean, he hurt his ankle pretty badly against SEMO, and our trainer had said that it was going to be a game time decision for him to even play. Mm-hmm. So to get him back healthier, for that game Saturday was big. But again, Lamine did an unbelievable job and carried that over to Saturday as well to play along, to play in the sub pattern with Vlad.
Yeah. And now to Western Illinois. It led for nearly 37 minutes in that one. Only trailed for 1:14 of clock time, 4:17 turnovers, and then got 22 points off turnovers. Chris and I talk about this a lot. I don't know if we've asked you, what is your percentage in terms of points off turnovers, how many you want off those turnovers?
Well, we've actually done a really good job in conference. One of the best teams that I've ever had in creating turnovers, and that's not something that's always been a staple of a Coach Shulman team. And so this group's done an amazing job. We found some different ways that we could kind of win the possession battle. Just try to win in the margins a little bit in creating turnovers. Now the flip side is, we actually haven't done a great job on scoring off of turnovers or scoring in transition, this year in conference. And so it's a little bit bizarre because that's the most efficient way to score for most teams is in transition, especially off of turnovers. And so we haven't been great at that, but we did a much better job against Western Illinois and putting the ball in the hoop.
What does it take to be good at that?
I honestly think. Honestly, players, our guys are probably a little more, on this year's team, a little more half-court oriented, generally. Mm-hmm. And outside of, Cortillo can really push the ball. Giniard can, finish at the rim. But generally, if you've got guys that are really good at playing in speed, but also be having pace, big physical guards that can finish at the rim, finish through contact, guys that, really like an up-tempo style, generally that helps you finish, in transition a little more off of whatever defense, rebound, turnover,
I guess part of it's where the turnover occurs.
Yeah, and so we swerved into that a little bit. We are going to push it on all, steals that we have, and we just have to get better. Like, there's just no other way about it. We just have to get better. We work on practice, and so I do think it showed in the West Illinois game. But defensive rebounds, we're probably going to not push it quite as much. But again, we had, I think you said 22 points off of turnovers against West Illinois. That was crucial.
And the thing about a turnover, it's not just 22. You took away points from them, so that could be a 44-point and throw in 3-pointers even more. It becomes a 5-point possession or a 2-point 2 to 6-point possession based on what you take away from them and what you can get on the other end.
Absolutely, which is why we have to have a balance. We just can't be too vanilla with our defensive schemes, and there's times that we're too vanilla where we're not causing turnovers, but there's also times that we're either, I hate saying too aggressive because I don't think you can ever be too aggressive, but where mentally we're not as locked in and we give up an open three, or we give up something at the rim against, with our, pressure, and you don't really want that either. So where's the balance? It's hard. We've got to be able to create some turnovers. We just do. Yeah. And, we looked at even that Lindenwood game. We didn't cause many turnovers against Lindenwood. Now, we guarded them. They didn't score much, but, we didn't cause turnovers, and that hurt our offense. And so That's a hard balance to find. It really is. But we're just gonna keep getting better at trying to find that balance. I thought we got better against Western Illinois.
Well, and defensively, you've held 2 opponents to under 40% shooting back to back,
which is good because that's what we did most of the non-conference slate. We just struggled to score at times, non-conference. But then in conference, and even the first 4 games of conference, we did a great job. Holding their field goal percentage very low and holding their point total low. And then teams just kind of went on this run against us, and we just didn't have the execution defensively we needed to have. We weren't in all of our gaps. We didn't guard the ball as well as it needed to. So I'm very proud of our guys for that. We did major jump forward, defensively in the last 2 games.
Yeah, and A.J. Hopkins on defense. He gets the rebounding belt on Saturday, and you named him our Tennessee Lottery Player of the Game. Go into his game a little bit more as now you've had time to watch the film and see the things that he did right from that perspective.
It's wild, and we talked about this, after. He impacts winning at such a high level. And he didn't make shots. It was like 1 for 6 from the field. But he impacted winning. He's such a great, first and foremost, energy travels. It just does. When you sit with someone who has great energy, you feel good. When you sit with someone who had energy, like, can I get out of this room? Can I just leave the room, please? Like, what are we doing here?
I call them energy vampires.
Absolutely.
They just steal the energy.
It's just brutal. And they don't know it, and they can't do anything about it. But, so AJ's opposite. And AJ just has great energy. And so our guys love being around him, and they love playing with him. So even when he's not shooting it well, like, he just kind of just rises the title. The team just is better with him, and so. But he also communicates well on defense. He rotates well on defense. He's gotten a lot better on the ball defensively. He blocks out pretty well. Just does a lot of things. On offense, you love playing with him because he loves to move the ball. He loves to cut in space. Like, he's not like a ball dominant. The ball stops with him. So it makes our offense better even when he's not making shots.
No, by the way, you're an energy expander.
An energy factory.
I appreciate it. That's a goal. If I'm not, call me out.
Terrence, he goes 12-15 to the free throw line on that one. Got a team high 20 points. Vlad comes back 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, all off the bench too, and then also playing a little bit hampered too, and played very well. I want to go to Philip. 11 points and a team best 3 assists for a true freshman that we've continued to see him. Defensively, he's been solid all season, but I think we saw his offensive game take a real big leap on Saturday.
Absolutely. We talked about it at our staff meeting earlier. We've got certain guys. I think everyone's improving. Sometimes you don't see it because other teams are also improving too. Teams don't want to just be static. So I think if you see some guys that are just gradually getting better, it looks like they're stagnant, but they're really not. Just everyone's going at that rate. Now, Philip's going at a much more substantial rate, so you see it. So I'm so proud of him. He's a guy we've got to learn to utilize more on offense as well, and put in some different actions. And it's very unique in our system. We've got such a unique team, and so another 6'7" guard to try to put him in actions, and we're going to find some ways on there. We are. Been at it all day yesterday and today on film, trying to find how can we be more creative with him.
Well, I feel like almost in every game you're a matchup nightmare to most defenses, and at the same time you never know which 5 are going to be on the floor, including in the starting lineup. So that's another thing that's
very complicated. It is good. It is good because it's hard for other teams to prepare. It's a little hard for us to prepare though, even for our own team. We need to figure out how to utilize our guys.
11-2 run with 2:35 to go to put that one away. And I know that we've talked about a young team and trying to finish games off. What felt different about that final 2:35 where you all closed it out?
It's a good question. Honestly, and I think, we did unfortunately trend the wrong way again. We were up 12, I think it was, and then, they cut it maybe 2-4 or something like that. And it was trending that way. So I think what was different is our guys, for whatever it was, whether it was more calmness on the bench, just from, whether it was the rest of the staff, the players, whatever it was, calmness, whether it was just, preparation, whether it was just, hey, we've been through this before and learning. Maybe it was a combination of all 3, but our guys could have folded. And instead, it's like, okay, hey, we got this. Let's go execute. Because we did, when we lost the 12-point lead, we did make some of the same defensive mistakes where it's like we weren't focused. Like, we lost focus. Like, you won't see it in their eyes. But this time we didn't. The landslide didn't continue. The proverbial snowball turning into the big boulder didn't happen. Like, we stopped it. We adjusted. We did something different, and that was nice. And it was the guys completely. It was nothing from me. Like, I'm trying as hard as I can, like always. But the guys just again, their process was great, and they did something different.
Yeah. And I'm sure you believe in self-fulfilling prophecies, and
Yeah.
it all starts with your mindset.
100%, and that's something I have to get better at also. And as a staff, we have to get better at it, and players have to get better, because that stuff is real.
Yeah.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, and just psychologically, just again, it's an energy thing, and it's however you want to define it, cliche, speak it into existence, this and that. But again, if you think, "Uh-oh, here we go again," it's
Right.
probably going to happen again.
Yeah.
And
there's two mindsets: either, "Oh no, here it goes," or "This is not happening again."
Absolutely.
I mean, that's all it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe in a very non-direct way, maybe Lamine helped that a lot, because we finally had named our first time having an actual captain this year, and we named Lamine as a captain. Yeah. And so maybe just there's some different aura around the team with that, and maybe it was one thing he said on the bench. Maybe it was just a little different energy where I was like, all right, hey, we got this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knows? I mean, you never know. You never know where this stuff comes from sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know if you looked at my notes, but literally Lamine was the next point.
Oh, seriously, I had not.
So Lamine, talk about the emergence of him. Like you said, really starting the first time at the 5 this week. 9 points, 11 rebounds, career high 5 blocks on Thursday. And then at 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 for 3 on the field on Saturday. Prior to last week, hadn't played over 10 minutes in a game since December 15th. And he gets 2 starts this week. And what made you put him in the starting lineup and give him a shot? And then, him being captain.
Absolutely. Well, I've just believed in him so much all year. He just hasn't quite been ready yet, and we tried to have kind of a wonky fit earlier where we actually started him and Vlad together some, and then realized, well, we couldn't guard anybody because it just wasn't a good fit right there. But I've always believed in Lamine, just haven't figured out how to, for him to quite get there, and also for us to, utilize him, because also Vlad at the same position is very, very good. So Vlad being out, that gave me a chance to say, hey, you know what? He's out for the Linwood game. He might even be out Saturday. We don't know how the ankle does. I'm going my gut. We're going Lamine. I believe in him. We're going with him. And thankfully, he rewarded my good gut feeling with great production. And so he's just going to keep getting better. And he's got to keep getting better. I mean, he still makes, some mistakes on the floor, especially defensively, that don't always, show to the, just until you watch film. But he's just an unbelievable kid, unbelievable person. He's got great tools to become a very good basketball player, and he's getting there. And the thing is, he hasn't played much. He hasn't played much in his career. He played 2 years ago at Cal State Northridge and barely played. I mean, only got in a handful of games. And then last year, because they were continuing to be older, like a lot of Division I teams, they redshirted him. Mm-hmm. So coming into this year, he hasn't played.
Yeah.
And so really kind of sitting the bench at a Division I for 2 years was worse than just coming out of high school, where at least he had just played 30 high school games.
Yeah.
So he'd lost some confidence. He'd lost some development. Hadn't had any game experience. He hadn't had meaningful game experience in over 2 years. And then this year to come in, because he's a little bit further behind, to also not get enough experience with us early, it just kind of again snowballed, and so he's finally getting there.
And some guys grow up when their dad's a coach and they're at the gym every day from the time they can walk. And some people don't really start paying attention to basketball until they're in the 8th grade or high school.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know what your situation is with him or some of the other players, but there's all of that vast information about basketball that comes into you. Some people have an advantage just based on their upbringing.
Absolutely. And his was later. And he didn't really get, like big time coaching until he got to the United States for high school. And so he's a late bloomer. He's not our youngest player, but I mean, experience wise, he's definitely youthful as far as that goes. And he's just a sophomore on the court. So I just think he'll continue to get better. And you want to talk about an unbelievable person and a great guy. I'm so happy for him for the success that he's having, because he deserves as much as any player on our roster. He's incredible.
We were on the road somewhere, and I was in an elevator with them, and when he walked out, I was just like, wow, this guy's amazing.
You want to talk about great energy?
Yeah.
That's the guy you want to be in the elevator.
You're right.
You want him on your bus.
He will keep the conversation going as you're going up the elevator, and then he'll be like, I want to see that guy again. Yes. That's what it is. Yeah. This week,
we need to get him on the show.
We should.
That's what I would like. Yes.
We should get him on the show. Yes, we need to. So this week, SIU tied for first right now in the OVC. They've won 3 straight and 10-1 at home, and then Eastern Illinois surged back against them, down 17 the second half to win that game back here at home. So both teams that you've gotten the win the first time around, what's it going to take to be able to get the season sweep this week, which would be a very impressive road trip?
Yeah, we just have to do us. We've even, we always talk about we do us, we worry about us, not the other team, or we just got to get better internally and all that. And you know what? We've gone away from that at times during conference season, because it can, it's a grind. And so I thought we got back to that after Thursday's loss and kind of got back a little more to just we're doing what we need to do to fix ourselves and to get better with ourselves. And so honestly, I mean, those are two great teams. We just have to get better. We just have to get better. You know, the fact that we beat them the first game doesn't matter, as it shows with the SEMO and Little Rock road trips. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, obviously SIUE's talented, well-coached, tied for first in the league. It's a road game. We just have to do us and get better to give ourselves the best chance. And then same thing against Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois is really good, and they're playing really good ball right now. And we just have to get better at the things we do and get more connected with our team and keep getting better at the margins. Again, like we're always working to do. How do we get better in the little details, the little analytics, little margins? We just got to get better at those things and just give it our best shot. Yep.
And there you go. Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time. As always, good luck here this week. We'll see you on the road.
I appreciate it.
We'll go ahead and take a break. When we come back, Austin Swafford from the UT Martin golf team will join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And back again here on Skyhawk Sports Talk, Davis, Gregory, Chris Brinkley now joining us. Head coach of the UT Martin golf team, Austin Swafford, as Skyhawks getting set for their first official team spring debut in Goodyear, Arizona at the Loyola Intercollegiate Sunday through Tuesday. Coach, I don't know if you've looked at the weather, but it's a little bit better than what it's going to be here right now. 77 on Sunday, 78 on Monday, and 77 on Tuesday.
Go ahead and knock on wood right here.
Yeah,
we don't want to jinx it. Yes, it does look good right now.
There was a little bit of rain on Friday, I think, but other than that, I think you're in the clear.
We'll survive for sure. We are excited to hopefully get some warmer weather and get out there in those conditions and play golf and what everybody loves to play golf in. So we're looking forward to it.
You played out there?
We actually went to this tournament when I was a player, my junior and senior year. So played there a couple times, familiar with the event, familiar with the teams that usually go. So we're looking forward to it.
What's the style of the course? What are the courses like out there?
This one is not what I would call a true desert course. You know, a lot of desert courses, if you miss the fairway, there might be a yard or two of rough, and then you're in the desert and may or may not be able to want to go find it.
Yeah.
This one have a lot of holes that run parallel. It's going to feel a little more traditional, but the climate's obviously the same, very dry. The ball's going to travel a little further. There's still some what I would call like desert areas, kind of waste areas, but you can hit out of these on this course. There's not any huge rocks or cacti or anything like that. It's just going to be that really grainy kind of material, but you can still hit out of it.
Cacti, he said, I'm impressed.
Listen, man, I told you we've been there before.
So the lower the humidity, the further the ball will travel?
Yes.
Yes. That makes sense because the air is thinner.
Yes, so we
are not as dense.
We'll have to have we'll hopefully get used to that in the practice round because usually it's a big adjustment. Like you said, 77, again, when the temperature warms up, it's the same thing. The ball's going to travel further. So playing around here, right now, it's not going as far. So
you still hit some just to kind of see, to get an idea, even as a coach, what's going on? Or
I will every now and then. Yeah. It's usually when a guy's like, hey, you think you can hit it closer to me? And then I
so it has nothing to do with your strategy.
No, but it does help in that aspect, yes.
They just start challenging you.
They do. Yeah, they can't help it. Yeah.
And how often do you
when we went to our individual event a couple weeks ago, I did it one time and I hit it closer than them. So I'm 1-0 in 2025. So we're 1-0.
That's the only record that you get.
That's the only record. We may not play this week. We'll just leave it.
You have a 1,000 winning percentage.
That's it.
So you got
I don't know how old you are now, but the great part about being old is to know when to do that and when not to do that.
That's exactly right. I'm learning as I go.
You got to choose your spots. Choose your spot. It's a big third on the OVC preseason poll. What are some of the strengths of this group heading into this spring portion of the schedule?
I think one of them is they just really like playing for each other. Golf is such an individual sport, and they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. So when we go to a course, the way one of them approaches it may be different than the way two of the other guys approach it, because we want to try to pick a strategy that best fits them. But at the end of the day, I've got to count the best 4 out of 5 scores each round. So these guys, a message in our locker room anyway that we try to send is we want to go play for the university and play for each other and do those two things the very best we can. And this group has really bought into that. I think I can see it when they're out there. The effort, the energy is just there, and somebody plays well, at the end of the round we're high-fiving and talking about it like they're excited that, hey, one of their teammates played well, even if it means that they beat them that round or that tournament.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that is really, really helpful. And the other part is we've got, in my opinion, we have a healthy balance of old versus young, but right now the guys that are playing and are set to play this coming week, we've got some experience on our side, not necessarily for this tournament coming up, but just that are in their junior and senior years, or maybe even a redshirt senior. So they've been around. They kind of know what to expect. They kind of know how to approach things. So we're trying to lean on some of that experience as well.
And as you guys go, like, after a day at the tournament and then you come back to the hotel, how do you see those older guys picking up the younger guys if maybe they've had a tough day, or maybe it's vice versa? It's freshmen talking the seniors, hey, you've been here before, you know what you're doing, and go there and get it.
I think when it is vice versa, that's what it is, how you've been here before. And when it's the young guys maybe have a tough day, it's the older ones just trying to get their focus in the right spot. Golf is so unique, and you guys know because you play and have followed it, but you're the only one out there. There's no timeouts. There's no teammates that can do anything directly to affect you, So we try to get the focus in the right area and just keep that perspective as we go from tournament to tournament, round to round. So that's where it is.
And the events are longer than most sports in a day.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, baseball's pretty long, but how early do you get there compared to when it begins?
These 36-hole days sometimes. Now, fortunately, this week coming up, we only play 18 holes each day, but the majority of our tournaments, we have a day where we play 36 holes, so 2 rounds.
Unbelievable.
And just for an example, like when we host our tournament in Jackson in the fall, we typically start at 8:30. Well, they're getting to the golf course at 7 or so. They're going to eat breakfast, and then they're going to go warm up, stretch for an hour, and get ready, and then 8:30. And we're walking off the golf course to eat dinner at just around 6 o'clock. So from 7 to 6 o'clock, 11 hours, we've done something golf-related. And that was a continuous play. We give them what we call a box lunch, which is just a basic lunch you can give, right? But we give it to them during the round. They keep going. They finished 18. They're going to the next one.
How many miles
like
is that? 10? Or?
Depends on the golf course, but you're looking anywhere
10
from
to 15?
9 to 12.
Yeah, no doubt.
On that kind of day.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get a kind of a flat walk, but every now and then it's not.
Yeah. And the better you are, the less you walk.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. We want to walk as many least amount of steps as possible for sure. So they can be long days. I mean, they are a.
It's the mental part, I guess. That's the hardest.
Yes. I mean, physically, obviously, compared to other sports, we're nowhere close. But mentally, to be focused and locked in that long, that's a tough task.
You know what scares me, and I taught disc golf, and we actually competed in the NCAA disc golf event from UT Martin, and a lot of the players in disc golf, they wear earbuds and they listen to music and all kinds of, and I see younger golfers doing that, not competing like you, but they're doing it really to distract themselves from the quiet and the mind that's out there, when in reality they probably need to be going in the other direction, probably focusing on what they're doing.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm not saying I would love that for our sport, but I would love to see, like, if we did that at practice.
Oh, you would be okay with that, maybe?
I try to be open-minded, Chris, to these kind of things.
Yeah.
I would love to see how, if we went and practiced and did that for 9 holes, I would love to see how our focus actually was. For some players, it actually may help. Just depending on their personality, the way their mind works.
Yeah.
Some players may hate it.
Yeah.
But I try to be open-minded.
And even on amateur courses, are going. You see people with their Bluetooth speakers turned up, which is terrible etiquette. But you see that, right?
All the time.
And it really angers me because I want to tell them this is not what golf is about. If you want to turn the music up, go do something else.
Go do something else.
Play pickleball.
Sure. Yeah.
No, and I guess it shouldn't bother me. It's the old man coming up, because golf is a quiet. You should hear birds chirping and golf balls getting hit.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just so popular
for
now.
you to say you're open-minded.
Well, I try, if it's going to help us play better, Chris, I'm open-minded. Yes. Now, listen, if we try and it doesn't work, then we're going to throw it back out.
It's out there.
It's out there.
I think we've had the quote of this episode, which is, if you want to turn up your Bluetooth speaker, you can play pickleball.
Which doesn't make it, because in basketball, with people shooting free throws, like, the way to distract them is to get quiet.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen that. But in golf, it's a gentleman's sport where it's the opposite. I just don't understand.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I think there's so many things in golf now trying to appeal to as many people as you can.
Yeah.
And so, the Bluetooth speakers and playing music during a casual round when you're out with your buddies, if that gets more people involved, then, people in the golf world are all for it. So
we had there's another free throw distraction at a certain basketball game where it was right before Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We were having an event in the Eagles Center.
Yeah.
And there were these pictures of Dr. King on, like, the right side of the floor, like where the black curtains are.
Okay.
And Chris and I were like, let's see how many people
That would
this
be
free
tough, because I would be distracted.
Yeah, I would just Dr.
Absolutely,
King.
yeah.
Or anything. Yeah, anything that you're not used to like that.
Absolutely.
So you talked about the food before a round. What do you want your guys guys to eat before they go out there? Because I feel like a lot of people before they play a round and then while they're in the middle of a round maybe don't, have the best nutrition.
No, we don't. That's something we actually talk about a lot. As far as the food before a round, it really depends on the tournament. Sometimes we are stuck on what maybe the hotel we're staying in has for breakfast. That can vary. Sometimes they serve it at the golf course. So that really depends. But definitely during the round, I try to get as healthy snacks as I possibly can. Any kind of fruit, bananas, apples, all those things. Any kind of nuts, cashews, peanuts, pistachios, beef jerky. My guys love beef jerky. I just can't afford to keep buying beef jerky.
Yeah, beef jerky is way too expensive.
It's unbelievable. They're really big on Uncrustables, and I'm not sure how healthy those are. See how excited you got?
I love it.
Yeah, everybody loves Uncrustables.
Do you get the strawberry or the grape?
They're more grape. I tell you, I try to sneak in and get the honey ones now. Honey ones are my favorite, and they've gotten to where they like those. Yeah.
Make honey Uncrustables.
Yes, I'm telling you, they're good. Yeah.
And actually, they're very different based on some people eat them frozen. I've been known to do that if I'm just really hungry and want one right now.
Yeah.
But there's a totally different experience.
It is totally different. I usually let mine kind of thaw.
You might be a little weird.
What about caffeine coffee? So Phil Mickelson has created this coffee that golfers drink that supposedly the caffeine is released in the body, not at one time, but slowly as you play your round of golf.
Yeah, listen, Phil's mind is, I can't wrap my head around Phil's mind. But I will tell you,
about money.
I do have, it probably is. Yeah. I do have a lot of coffee guys on my team, and definitely in the mornings we're going to have a coffee, whether it's from the hotel, maybe they've got parents that have traveled and are coming and, may bring them one on their way into the golf course. So I do have some coffee drinkers on my team. Now, that is there, yes.
Fair enough.
Yes.
That's fair enough.
Just no coffee and loud music.
That's correct. No. See, now we're doing something else.
And then now, pickleball, you just take that all the way over there. Take all your problems to the pickleball courts. We don't want it on the golf course. Jackson Twirl named OVC golf player to watch before this season, too. How has his play been throughout the year? I know we talked to him, but just from your eyes, what have you seen from him?
It's his best year by far. It's not close. If you look at his stats, he hadn't been a starter until this point. He's been through a lot of adversity in his career. Some of it, just me being honest, is a little self-induced, and some of it was not self-induced. It just happened to go his way. But he put his head down every time. He's worked hard. He's stayed. He's committed. And I'm so happy to see him have a year that he can look back on. I know we're not done yet, but just 60% of the way through, I think he can look back on this one and be really, really proud of the play on the golf course and just also the teammate and the leader that he's become. He's had a fantastic year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this spring. He's playing well. He's playing well recently in some qualifiers. Obviously, he's going with us this week, so I'm just excited to see how he continues to play because it's been his best year by far.
Yeah, coming off a tournament where a couple guys actually played in the Thomas Sharkey individual collegiate, had 3 athletes in the top 25. Luke Caldwell 14th, Jackson was 18th, and then Ethan Ray 24th. Also, Drew Williams got to go back home and play in his home state. How did those guys look in their first event of the season?
It was really good to get out on the course early, and that's one reason I scheduled this event was I wanted to get out early and compete and try to knock some of that rust off because obviously we're coming off a little break, and also give them a chance to compete against some really good players from some bigger programs. And as you pointed out, 3 of them did very well, and Drew had some moments where he just looked like a young player, just a young freshman, which he is, but he also had a lot of positive moments, and he's going to be just fine. That's the kind of tournament that will make him a better player, and we talked about that, and I think he's in a very good headspace. He's going this week as well, and I was excited for those 3 older guys to step up and play well, and I think it'll really boost their confidence going forward, knowing A, I've already played a tournament, and B, I've played well, and even though it's early in the year, February, March, we're ready to go. Yeah. So I'm not saying it's going to guarantee anything. We still have to go play and get the ball in the hole, but I do think those guys have a better mindset going into the next 2 weeks because we play back-to-back weeks since they played 2 weeks ago as opposed to starting out fresh next week.
And as the year continues on, I know guys are going to get into a point where they're struggling and might be in a little bit of a slump.
Sure.
We talked a little bit about young guys picking up old guys picking up young guys. But for you, what type of lessons and conversations one-on-one with guys do you have whenever they're in some of those slumps and just trying to encourage them and get them out of that?
I found myself just being really big on the focus and perspective, again, because we're the only ones out there, and usually everybody knows what they're shooting, right? Just like a scoreboard on any other sport, you can always see the scoreboard. You're going to know what your score is, and when it's not good, it just feels like in my opinion, a lot of weight on your shoulders because you're the one out there. So I just try to focus a lot on the focus and perspective and things we can control, because in golf, when we buy into that, it seems like it helps. And vice versa, though. We also talk about when it goes really, really well. Hey, we're 4 or 5 under with 3 or 4 holes to go. Or instead of quote-unquote freaking out and making a mistake and all of a sudden switching our mindset, we need to keep focusing on how we can turn that 4 or 5 under into 6 or 7 under.
Yeah.
Again, so just the focus and perspective that they need, and it's different for each one. And I feel like I can go up in kind of a firm tone sometimes to some, and that kind of works with them, and some of them it just, like me and you are sitting here having this conversation real casual. Right. So you just kind of have to know that, but that's where my mind tries to go, whether it's good or bad, is just, hey, where's our focus? What are we thinking about? Let's make sure it's on the right things, and then boom, go from there.
Expectations here for this first tournament before we let you go there at the Palm Valley Golf Club?
It's a bigger field, one of the larger ones we play for the year. So expectation-wise, it's hard to say. There's some what I would call bigger programs, good teams coming. And, again, we haven't been in this tournament in a few years, so the guys going, I think only Jonathan has played this golf course. So just a lot of question marks. But what I am expecting is us to show up with that right perspective, with the right mindset, and play with a lot of energy. If we can do that, I think we're going to be just fine. I don't know where we'll fall, but I think the scores that we post, we'll be able to look at it, feel good about it, build some momentum as we keep going. So that's what I'm expecting for sure.
Fantastic. We'll take another break. Coach, thanks so much for your time as always, and good luck here in the upcoming season.
All right, guys, thanks.
When we come back after this break, head coach of the UT Martin baseball team, Ryan Jenkins, will join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here, Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory with Chris Brinkley. Opening day for UT Martin baseball coming up on Friday against Florida A&M. Now joining us, head coach of the UT Martin baseball team, Ryan Jenkins, entering his 8th season. Coach, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know with the field still going on and got guys running around and everything like that, appreciate you taking some time to join us here in your busy schedule.
Yeah, it's been hectic. Just trying to get on the field every day and making sure that we're doing everything and kind of checking all the boxes we need to check, kind of traveling back and forth to Union City and, just making the adjustments when we need to be able to get ready for the season. Been a little bit difficult, but, there's a price, for progress, and I'm thankful that we're getting such a nice field, and, it's going to be huge for us, with development and recruiting, so I'm excited about it. It's okay that we've got to drive a little bit here and there to practice.
A lot of folks driving by on Skyhawk Parkway have seen the progress, but you're getting close, right?
Yeah. We better. Yeah. We play at home next week, so we've been assured that the field will be completed by then. So we're excited. The first time that we get on it is not going to be to practice or anything like that. It's going to be wide open. Just get out there and play on it. So we're excited to see it completed and get out there and play.
And UT Martin coming off back-to-back postseason appearances for the first time in school history, and it's a brand new team, Coach, with 14 returners and then 20 newcomers as well. How excited are these guys to go out there and get on the field, and how has chemistry been in building that up with this new group?
Yeah, I think the excitement level has been through the roof. And it always is this time of year, but you can kind of see just the pace of play and the enthusiasm and how hard the guys are playing in scrimmages right now. It makes you really excited as a coach. The guys have seemed like everything's going well. We haven't played a game yet. So the chemistry's been good, and we've got leadership in the locker room that's kind of been in place for a while. And right now everything's going great, and we're excited about it. And for me, the big thing is bringing in this many new guys. We have to really do a good job, and Bill White did a great job of kind of doing his due diligence on character, making sure that we've got the right kind of guys in, and everything was going to mesh, and it really has. So I'm excited to see, kind of what it looks like on the field when we've got a different opponent. So, it's every year, that's the big question mark. That's the question mark for me, is how they're going to deal with adversity. How are they going to play with each other when things aren't just going well, when everybody's not in the lineup. Because that's happening this week. Everybody's been able to get on the field. Everybody's got a ton of reps. Here in a week, there's going to be half of our team sitting on the bench. And does that change what kind of teammates they are, and does that change, the dynamic of our group? So, I'm really excited about it, but I always try to, kind of curb my enthusiasm this time of year because we need to see those types of things, and there's no way for me to put them in that position. We've got to play the games, and I've got to see how they react.
It's odd in other sports, basketball and football and some other sports, what you're doing, you would think chemistry would be important. In baseball, only one person's batting at a time. In the field, you're spread out. The pitcher has the ball most of the time. But chemistry is more important in baseball than any other sport.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. The thing is in baseball, it seems to be very individual. You see a pitcher, you see a hitter, but so much of what you've got to be able to do to be successful relies on you kind of being selfless. Your individual statistics are important, right? We need guys that hit 300. We need guys that hit 20 home runs. We need guys that drive in runs. But when you've got guys that are selfless and you've got guys that have good team chemistry and they care about the guy next to you, baseball's a game of failure. Sometimes you need to kind of get away from the individual thing and go, hey, I'm just going to hit a ground ball to shortstop here.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm going to block this baseball. Just small things, but that to me is why it's a big deal. Because everybody's so reliant on each other, and it really helps when the guys feel like, hey, if I don't do this, I'm letting down my teammate. When they feel that pressure, and that it is pressure, and the game creates it. There's no way around it. It doesn't matter what level you're at, the game creates it. But when you've got guys in the dugout that really care about one another, man, they're willing to sacrifice. They're willing to kind of cut down swings and be selfless and just put the ball in play, do whatever they can to move a runner, score a runner.
You nailed it. Well said. It's the only sport that has the word sacrifice that could possibly show up on a box score.
Yeah. So it's, I think that's a big part of it. And then, we're around each other so much, not to say the other sports aren't, but with our travel and our schedule and the number of games we play, if you've got some bad attitudes in there, it can spread real quick. So it's really important that the guys gel and mesh, and that they enjoy being around each other. And it does seem like this group is really excited to be with each other and to play with each other. So
cool.
Yeah, two newcomers coming onto this team that are very impressive. TJ Grind's named OVC player to watch before the year started, and then Ardarius Townsend, Pico, NAIA first team All-American. What do they provide to your batting lineup?
TJ is just a complete hitter. He's not going to be a guy that's going to go out and hit 30 home runs, but he is a tough out. I mean, he's a guy that's going to put the ball in play consistently. He's going to hit the ball hard, and he doesn't get fooled. He's just a really mature hitter, as mature as I've ever coached. His ability to think through his at-bats and to have something positive, is pretty amazing. And then he does everything else right. Runs the bases extremely well. He plays great defense. And the guys look at him because it's the maturity level and the way he goes about his business. We kind of got a running joke right now, that TJ just is kind of on his own time. It takes him a little bit longer to get done with the lift, a little bit longer to get done with his rounds of BP, but when he's in the cage, he's thinking about swings. He's not in there just swinging, and you try to teach guys that and teach how important it is for them to have a plan when they go in the cage or they're working on anything. And he does. He's really, a cerebral guy, and he's a guy that's sitting there thinking through everything. He's really one of my favorite players because I tried to be that way as a player, and it's what we teach. So I think he's a great example of how you should go about your business and how you should work. And I think it's going to, he's going to have success.
Well, hearing you say that, my favorite player growing up was Keith Hernandez, and he actually wrote an entire book on one game.
Yeah.
And just pitch by pitch and what you should be thinking from each position. And now as a color commentator for the Mets, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Some guys have that and approach the game like that.
Yeah, he's, like I said, it is definitely a game where if you're able to think through things before they happen, it really slows the game down. Because he does look like he's playing slow. But it's because he's thought through, if the ball's hit here, I need to throw to this base. If this guy throws a breaking ball, I'm going to do this. He's already played the game in his mind before it happens.
Yeah.
He's been great for us. And then, Pico is he's a monster of a man. He's got the ability to hit the ball a long ways. And, there's a transition coming from where he's at to here. And I think that he's starting to get used to the speed of the game. There's going to be some growing pains, but he's been really positive for us, and he adds a little bit different dynamic. I think this team's going to be a little bit faster team, a team that's going to be able to run bases, and Pico is going to be a guy that can drive the baseball and create some damage and get you back in ball games.
Yeah, one guy on the pitching staff back this year, OVC Freshman of the Year back in 2023, Zach Wager. I know it was up and down for Zach a little bit last season, and then towards the end of the year got it really going. And how's his off-season been in getting ready here for 2025?
He's looked great. The thing about Wager is, he's a character. He's another guy that really thinks about what he's doing. He's really confident in himself. I think that last year has been forgotten. I don't think that was really a great picture of who he is and his ability. I think he just struggled. And it's a sophomore thing. It's, coming off, there's a lot of expectation coming out of that freshman year that he had. But, he's matured, and, he's Wager. He's going to be fine. He's a guy that you can count on. He's not going to – the moment's not ever going to get him because he's confident in his ability, his ability to throw strikes where he wants to throw it, throwing different pitches and different counts. He feels like he can get himself out of any kind of jam, and that's why you love him so much, and that's why you put him out there, because he's so confident in it. You're like, hey, we're winning here, and let's give Wager the ball. I will say right now, we've kind of built him up in a starting role. His pitch count's pretty high. We've got a lot of baseball early. He is going to have an opportunity to start and throw long. I think it's important to kind of keep him on the trend he's going. We can always back him down, but he's going to get put in some roles, especially early, where he can throw more. I want to see him pitch more. That's the good and bad thing about having one of your best arms being that closing role is if the game dictates that he needs to pitch, he's probably going to throw an inning here or there. But if the game doesn't, we may go all weekend, good or bad, and he may not even get the ball. So I want to see him pitch. I want to see him pitch a lot. He needs to, kind of get back to his old goofy thing. He gets out there. Yeah. So I'm excited for him to do that, and that's what we're going to do early is we're going to give him an opportunity to pitch and kind of, slate his innings so that he knows he's going to have to go out there and throw for a while.
Yeah. In the OVC, there's been a lot of turnover also in the conference from all these other teams. How do you see this league playing out? Because it gets extremely competitive whenever it gets to conference.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I know there's going to be good players. There's going to be some standout guys, but there's so much turnover in college baseball right now, and I think it's just the way it's going to be. Semo's going to be good. Little Rock's going to be good. The teams in the league are going to be well coached. That those guys, there's going to be special players on each team, and you're going to have to navigate everybody in the league a different way. But if anybody can say, this team is this, or we do the preseason stuff, and that's great, but everybody's got new players. I think SIUE is the only team really that's turning back, a significant amount of their everyday lineup. So to me, it's everybody. Anybody could win it, and nobody's really going to be able to tell you what everybody's got or, who they're going to be able to put on the field. So, to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We've got to play the games, and we've got to do what we can do to control, the small things that make us successful. And if we're able to do that, if we're able to go out and play the game hard and hustle and play good defense and throw strikes consistently and, like I said, have selfless at-bats, we'll be fine. It'll take care of itself.
And going into now this season, last one for you, what's going to take to get another postseason appearance and then a deep run in the OVC tournament for this group?
Well, one of the things that, is a little bit different about this year, this is probably the smallest roster we've ever had, and it's been great for us because as coaches, you get more individual time. You can work one-on-one, and you feel like you don't have these, not to say it's not good to have extra guys, but we've had the opportunity to kind of really focus on individuals. And I like the smaller group. I think it's what we should be doing. I really think that it's a good model. But the bad thing about it is we don't have a lot of depth. We've got some key guys that nobody else plays the position. We've got guys that can go there, that understand the position, but we are really, we're a little shallow with some of our depth. And that's one of the biggest things. If we can stay healthy, if we can do a good job of keeping them in the lineup every day, I think that we'll have success. Kind of the other thing is we've got to find an identity pretty quick, what kind of team we're going to be. I think that our pitching staff's been great all fall and all spring up to this point. I mean, they've done what we wanted them to do and what we envisioned them being, which is strike throwers. There's not going to be anything overwhelming. There's not going to be 96, 97 out there. But it's going to be guys that, hey, they can throw 3 pitches for strikes, and that is the concern, and that's kind of where we put all of our focus on is being really competitive and not giving any free passes, and they've done a great job of that. So I'm pleased with that, and I think we're going to throw more strikes than we've ever thrown. And then offensively, there's some questions that I've got. We've swung the bat well the last few years. I think one of the things that we've struggled with is kind of some of the base running stuff, some speed stuff. Obviously Caleb Hobson a couple of years ago and Zach Rice, guys like that, we've had it, but this seems to be a little bit more complete team as far as speed. So I think that, it's going to be a point for us to try to play that way and play fast and move guys around. And if that works the way you hope it does, you feel really confident about, being in a good position for postseason play and being able to make a run there. And then, getting to do it, like I said, going back to the tournament multiple years, every year, it's kind of one of those things. It takes some time to learn how to play in that environment, right, in that situation. And then as coaches, we've also got to build a team because the tournament is so important. We kind of got to build a team around the tournament, right? We're consistently getting there now, and we know how to do that. But we're also seeing some flaws in the way our team's set up and play in that kind of a tournament. And I think we've done a better job, and that's part of why we've got so many people in that starting role, because I think it's going to take that to get through that tournament. So there's a lot of things that we need to do. We need to stay healthy, and we need to figure out an identity with our offense. And then, like I said, when we get there, I think that we're more suited with our personnel to be able to go a long way.
Okay. All right. Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time as always, and good luck here this season.
Yep. Thank you.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
I can't figure out how to get music on it.
Music on it?
Yeah, it's got music, but I don't understand how you're supposed to get it on there.
The website might be totally
music
done for it.
Oh, no.
I don't think it's going to be the kind of music you want.
Music. Select a track.
Frank
okay,
Sinatra.
well, I can't search, play, shuffle, or scan. Okay, how do you search, play, shuffle, or scan when you don't have anything in there?
Yeah, you can't.
Okay, so let's see. We go back up there. Go up. So it's, I don't know what that is.
Are we filming?
Yeah, this is a great
start, Dave.
Yeah.
What that is. I don't know what that is.
We're trying to figure out how to get music.
So I click it, and
McMillan's phone.
New.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
Add remove songs. Yeah. Add a song. Well,
add
a song. How to add a song.
Yeah.
What do you want to add?
Sinatra.
This might be the best start to a segment. First we had Coach Eaton with us last week, and
Rosemary Clooney.
We're adding Frank Sinatra onto his phone today.
I don't think it's going to work.
It's not going to work.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay.
That's a heartbreaker.
Maybe we should talk basketball.
We should. Well, hey, we're here on Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory with Chris Brinkley. Yeah. Coach McMillan here. We're trying to get music on Coach's phone. UT Martin, they go 1-1 on the week. Fell by just 3 points to tie for first place. Lindenwood on Thursday. Then conclude the week with a 20-point win over Western Illinois. Coach, just thoughts on the week overall for your group as we start things.
Well, I guess if you look at our last 4 games, I guess defensively we've done better. I guess the high during those 4 games has been 62. I guess Lindenwood 62 points. So maybe defensively we're getting better. Offensively we've looked okay in spurts. Even the Lindenwood game, we had a really good second half in the Lindenwood game. So we would all like to think we're turning a corner. We'd all like to think that we're kind of making a push, and we may be. the thing is what all of us are doing that have been around the program for years is we're comparing this team to the past.
Yeah.
And it's understandable because it's very strange that for 15 straight years we've all seen the same trajectory in a team every single year, like without fail. Even the worst year was 2017 that we were not very good, but even that team made a push to the Final Four of the OVC tournament, and there was a big improvement from the middle of the season to the end. And so I think what all of us are doing is we're comparing it to the past, and I don't want to say that's not fair to do, because of course it's fair to do. I just think that this set of circumstances, issues, players, whatever, doesn't fit the mold that really allows us to compare.
Yeah.
So that's why we're hoping we're turning a corner. We might be figuring things out. But what we would have said 2 or 3 years ago is we'll know. What you always used to hear me say was, you'll know in 3 weeks if we turned a corner. And usually 3 weeks later, we weren't talking about it anymore because we had turned the corner. This year, if I say at any point, 3 weeks we'll know, 3 weeks we've not known anything. We might have had answers to the questions that we had 3 weeks ago, but different ones have popped up that have caused us more problems. But I think in the last 4 games, you've seen some consistency maybe that we haven't seen all year. And I was talking to Alex and Ryan over there, and I think we're saying, well, we looked more like we're supposed to look in the Western Illinois game, and I would agree with that 100%. But we're also looking at that going, if that was a team from the past, what time of year would that team have just played in? And I would be going, that's a late December, early January game. Because I would come over there to you after games sometimes, and I'm ticked off, and we win by 25. Well, it's because we have to get better at A, B, C, and D. Well, right now, we were just thankful to take a game and win.
Yeah.
But, well, that's what you're doing in November. So if we've turned a corner, that's great, but we're going to have to cram for the final exam, which is only 3.5 weeks away, 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
So,
which is hard to believe.
We're going to blink and the season's going to be over. Well, look at it this way: a month from now, probably 70% of the schools in the country will be through with basketball.
Yeah.
4 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So crazy.
It is unreal.
It's crazy.
Unreal. Getting into that Western Illinois game, though, Coach, I talked about the defense. Had them shoot 32.8% from the field and then had 19 assists in the game. I thought that was impressive. And over the last 3 games, Deja Richmond, 15 points per game, 10 rebounds, and then 4.3 assists. And she really started to play some good basketball this year.
She's probably the one that, if you poll, has matured the most this season. And that doesn't mean that, Kinley, or maybe you don't want to use the word matured, the one that has changed the most.
Her game has changed.
Her game has evolved and changed, and I'm going to call it matured. But she's also the one that's got the farthest to go, and that's because she has such a high ceiling. The kid is capable of averaging 10 rebounds a game. The kid is capable of averaging 10 assists a game. The kid is capable of averaging 15 points a game. The kid is capable of shooting a high percentage from 3, which we hadn't seen yet, free throw line, and from the mid-range. So it's her maturity has definitely been a spark, because you look at the last 4 games and she's had 4 decent games and we've won 3 or 4. So I think right now, as she goes, we go. Now that does not mean that the team revolves around her, but she's had 4 good games and we've had 4 good games.
And when she plays well, she makes everyone else better. When she plays the way she's been playing, and she takes pressure off of them.
Yeah, it takes pressure off, and I don't think it's any coincidence that you saw Kinley shoot the ball better, and I think that's what you're looking at. You see her take pressure off people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kinley, fourth time in 5 games, leading the way in scoring, had 21 points. And we talked on Saturday after the game about her shooting the ball better. And you mentioned taking some ownership for her as she's making some more shots. What have you seen from her in that aspect of taking more ownership of her game?
Well, she'll tell you that she's got some shoulder problems, and we can't quite figure it out because her shoulder was fixed this last year, and so we don't really understand the issues that she's having. Theoretically, you're not supposed to be having, and so. But what she finally did was say, you know what? Forget the pain. I'm going to have to go get in the gym and shoot and figure this thing out. And so she's done that, and consequently, it's kind of like you hate to say it, but she's like, okay, what is my pain supposed to feel like when I make the ball go in? Versus I don't want to feel any pain.
Yeah.
So she's kind of figuring out how to play with some issues in her shoulder, and I think she's doing better. I think you add Deja in there, taking some pressure off her, she's doing better. I think she's also just a winner. I mean, she's going to try to figure things out. And we've put the ball in her hands some. So hopefully you will continue to see her game improve as the season kind of winds down.
Yeah, and Anea shot the ball from 3, 6 of 13 on the week, and then had 4 made threes on Thursday with 20 points, and found herself open a lot more from 3-point range. Was that by design, or was that just by how defenses were giving her looks?
Both. We knew going into the Lindenwood game that their post, the way they were going to guard, that she was basically going to get anytime we wanted a shot from her at 3, she was going to get it. And so we started doing stuff that was making them make a decision between Kinley and Anea. So you're either going to give Kinley a decent look or you're going to give Anea a wide open look. And that's what kind of got us going in the second half, if you remember, and we were able to put some points up. I wish we'd have done more of it in the first half, but that's part of figuring out what you got to do in a game.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head what her percentage is from 3, but Anea is a good 3-point shooter if you leave her open. It's just not, her game isn't designed so much, I feel like, to shoot from outside. She does a lot of work inside.
But
she's
also,
in the 30s.
Yeah, mid-30s. Your best teams have always had a post player who can step out and shoot the 3.
Well, Jasmine and I were talking about that today, and she's like, when we're really good, we have a post player that can step out and make threes, or at least 15 feet. And Anea can do that. We need her to do more of that. What she can't quite figure out yet is how to make the 3 end up getting her a layup, or make the 3 get her an easy jump shot.
Yeah.
She's still a little, I don't know if robotic is the right word or mechanical, but when it's like the defense knows she's either shooting it or she's driving it. They're not coming up there going, uh-oh, what do I got to do? And they're backed off a little bit. And I think that's what the really good ones, that Haley Howard was phenomenal at shooting threes, and then if you took it away, she's laying it up.
Yeah.
And I think Anea's just trying to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. And Lexi, talked to her on the show about the team clicking, and I felt like in that second half there was some clicking going on with the group, and for her, I feel like she's played really well in her all-around type of game. On Saturday, it's 7 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and then Thursday, 4 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, and I feel like that's the type of Lexi Rubel game that we're kind of used to, is maybe not doing so much in points, but doing all the other things well that make the group really start to go.
Yeah, she does, but we have got to have her points get up around double figures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just do. I think last year she ended up averaging around 9 points a game. We don't need her to be 20, but we need her to be 9 or 10. We need her to be at 10. And I've kind of pushed on her a little bit about that. Last week I worked on some stuff with her late in the week just to try to help her. If she does that, she does everything else. Like people sometimes will think Lexi didn't play well, and when I do my productivity chart, she'll be right at the top. Mm-hmm. She'll either be the best on the team or one of the best. It's because she does so many other things. But you do have to. you can't have her not score at all, because then that lets people focus on other people defensively, and there's no stat for that. There's no way to figure that into productivity, and it will put pressure on other people, and so that's why she just has to be a threat to make everybody else kind of do what they do.
Getting into this week now, SIUE beat them earlier this season 72-65, and then Eastern Illinois, they've been on a little bit of a slide right now, but they're 9-0 at home. And what's it going to take for a good week for your group? And I know consistency one thing, but continuing to be able to put these games together.
I don't, here we go. I have no idea. I mean, I don't have any idea. I know that SIUE lost to EIU in overtime. SIUE's knocked on the door against a lot of teams trying to beat them. They play hard, and if you don't go into that game and be focused and are extremely focused, you're going to have problems, and that's what happened to us here. We got lucky to beat them here. So we're going to have to go into this game trying to build on the last four, trying to kind of make our statement. Is this team going to do what we've seen every other team do? I wish I could tell you that we were. I don't know. I think this is kind of a big week. 2 games on the road, a team that plays really hard, and a team that's at the top of the league. You have a chance. I know what I would, if I had to gamble, then we're probably going to come back next week and go, well, we were kind of good, and we were kind of not good, and we were kind of, because that's what we've been. So I would love for us to see us take some sort of step where we both, from both games, we go, okay, we've done this. So I don't know. I'm the worst interviewer at this point because I don't know what to tell you. Don't really have a clue.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, Friday, Chris and I were talking about this when we were talking about upcoming schedules. Friday of this week is Valentine's Day. What are your favorite Valentine's Day candies?
Anything with Reese's in it.
Anything
makes
with
no
Reese's?
difference. You can do.
They've got this new thing with lava.
Yeah, did you see the Super Bowl commercial?
No, I didn't see the Super Bowl commercial. With lava. I saw a lot of the commercials.
It's like liquid chocolate or something that's with a regular, it's inside a Reese's,
Yes.
so it's like, it's less solid. Like there's 3 layers instead of 2.
I mean, if I have to try it, I guess I will break down and force myself to try chocolate. It's just hard to screw up chocolate. I mean, you've got to really work to make chocolate go bad.
I do know this about you. You're in good shape. I mean, you're a guy who's in good shape, but you like your sweets.
I have a sweet tooth. Good gosh, do I have a sweet tooth?
Yeah.
And it's not good. So I need to be as active as I am because I've got bread and sweets is my downfall, and it's probably the two. Every diet out there, if you're going to avoid something, the first thing, you better avoid bread. You better avoid sweets. I've done both of those.
It's strike one and strike two.
Strikes one and strike two. That's exactly right.
Seems to be working, whatever you're doing, though. So.
Sometimes I get near the end of the season, I start getting to where I'm getting a little bit to my limit on kind of where I need to be.
That's hard though, because do you eat the meals after games? I mean, we all play earlier than the men, but for us, it's like 10 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
I usually eat something like right at the beginning of the men's game, that kind of timing.
That's good.
And so, it depends. If I eat enough, that's it for the day, and that's really good.
Yeah.
If I don't eat enough, that's not good because it's a fourth meal because you put another one there. So it just kind of depends. Yeah. But on the road, you don't eat. You eat well, but you eat too much.
Yeah.
Because you feed the team, and you just kind of get into a routine. So.
And you don't move a lot on the.
Yeah, you don't.
It's hard to move on a bus.
You're not moving a lot. Not at all.
So what I'm hearing is Reese's Cups or Reese's Lava, and the winner of a 3-point contest gets some Reese's.
So we have a post game. I want to look at these guys right here. Parker, Alex, Rhino. Pay attention. Davis challenged him to a 3-point shooting contest. That's all we.
Thank you, guys. I just saw everybody just shook their head sideways. That's okay. That's all I needed to see right there.
If you were shooting 20, I would give you 10 shots and
So my great story was when I was first started teaching, there was this kid in my class that would not shut up. He would not. And
was it Millington?
It was at Millington.
Okay.
And he played basketball, but he wasn't on the team, but he played. And so, I mean, he would not shut up. He wouldn't shut up. But I was the teacher that was not sending you to the principal's office. I had too much pride in myself. I'm not sending my kids to the principal's office. But he wouldn't shut up. So he got snotty one day and said something about basketball playing or whatever. And I said, okay, I tell you what. I said, we'll play one game. And what do you want to play to? He said, we're going to play to 10.
One-on-one?
One-on-one.
Ones and twos.
I said, okay. Well, we didn't do that back then. We just played it.
Make it, take it?
Well, I said, here's the rules. I said, if I win, every time I look at you with my eyes like this, you have to shut up. Every time.
For the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year.
Wow.
And this was in the fall. And I said, if you win, I will let you talk however you want to. I'll buy you lunch. I'll do whatever. He said, okay. And he said, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that because you might get lucky. I said, okay. And I tell you what, I'll spot you 9 points. We're playing to 10. We're playing make it, take it. I get the ball first. Oh, yes, we're going to do that. Absolutely. Yeah, I won 10 tonight.
And then when you looked at him in class after that?
He shut up every time. I loved it. It was a respectful thing.
Mic drop ball game.
It was great. It was great.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you on the road this week.
Thanks, guys.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
That'll do it for yet another episode of Skyhawk Sports Talk with Davis Gregory and Chris Brinkley. So, Chris, what I'm hearing is we need to challenge Coach Swafford to a closest to the hole challenge. No, listen, you're in on this too. Yeah. And then you and I need to go head-to-head with Coach McMillan. And then we need to do 2v1.
Let's change our pronouns. You should be you.
No, we could get it 2v1.
I'll do play-by-play.
Oh, okay. You'll be on the side. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much to everyone for tuning in for yet another episode of Skyhawk Sports Talk. Another episode coming next Monday as we get deeper into basketball season. The conference tournament starting to take shape. Baseball, softball, and track and field and competition. It is starting to really enter that crossover season where we're getting a lot of sports going at one time. It's a real fun time.
Yep. Go to utmsports.com. Follow us on all the social media outlets.
And we'll go ahead and wrap this one up from Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee. For Chris Brinkley, myself, Davis Gregory, all our great coaches for joining us today. We say God bless from Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.